What's going on, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market had a great day today. The S&P went up 0.3%. The Dow went down 0.3%, but don't worry because the Nasdaq 100 went up 1.5%, followed by the Russell going up 1.1%. So I want to break down some technicals, go over a bunch of stocks to buy now, stocks I own right now. We'll break down a little bit the infrastructure bill and go over where I see the markets going forward. So hit the like button, subscribe, make sure to go down below. Get 2 free stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,850. You could also get $30 free from M1 Finance. Get into the Strive Smart Discord chat as well. And you can check out my Patreon for buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, more access to me throughout the day. All of those are linked right down below. So what do you know, guys? The S&P 500 today hit yet again another all-time high, just 6 points shy from that milestone 4,000 point level. We hit 3994.41 today, and we ended up obviously breaking out of the big resistance that's been hurting the S&P as of late, right around 3980, 3985, and again we broke out of that, hitting an all-time high. And you guys can see we did close under 3980, 3985, which was that old all-time high. So that is not the best thing for the bulls, but I'm really not complaining at all, considering again we did hit an all-time high today. And who knows, we might see a bit of a sell-off, maybe back down to 39.50, maybe 55, 39.60 before we continue trucking along. And of course, like I said, now that we're under 39.50 or 39.80 rather, we might end up, struggling to break back out. But the second we break out of 39.80, I think we'll probably see a move to 4,000, 4,050. And if you guys saw my video earlier today, I'll link it right down below in the description box. We went over specific numbers and historical data showing that the markets have done well historically in April. So go check that video out down below. It's a must watch in my personal opinion. I think all the videos are must watches, but that one for sure, you guys should go check it out. It's linked right down below. So watch out for 39.80, 85 in the next coming trading days here for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We covered this on Patreon this morning. This is a very good sign. We broke out of this resistance, guys. The resistance right around, it was right around 12,980, 13,000. It was right by the overall resistance of this descending triangle that we covered. And this has been a point of resistance for the past couple of weeks, 2 weeks to be exact, since the middle of March. So the fact that we broke out of that is a very good sign. And I feel like if we take out the lows from, or rather the highs from today and the highs from back on the 23rd of March, right around 13,150, that is going to get us right to 13,300, which is a big point that I've been talking about when it comes to the Nasdaq 100. And if 13,300 breaks, guys, that is going to be huge for momentum. We're going to be at levels that we haven't been at all of March. We didn't even get above 13,300 all of March, and the last time we were above it was at the end of February. So 13,300 is huge. If that breaks, who knows? We could really just go right back to all-time highs. Not saying we are, but that would be the direction we'd be going in, right? So let's talk a little bit about this infrastructure bill. And by the way, gold went up today, or actually now it's down 0.4% because, okay, the futures market opened back up. Let's pop that up a little bit. You guys can see. So it did go up earlier in the day. Massive move for gold. Silver also did well. Take a look at that big move in silver. So we saw the markets do well today other than the Dow. Tech did very well today. The VIX went down. VIX went down 1%. So a lot of things are looking pretty good for the markets, at least in the short term. And we got some more detail when it comes down to the infrastructure bill. President Biden unveiled a more than $2 trillion infrastructure and economic recovery package today on Wednesday. The plan aims to revitalize U.S. transportation infrastructure, water systems, broadband, and manufacturing, among other goals. And the plan Biden outlined today includes roughly $2 trillion in spending over 8 years and would raise the corporate tax rate to 28% to fund it. So that is interesting. The markets don't seem to care about that, quite honestly. The markets, a bunch of these big stocks are going up regardless of the fact that they're going to most likely have to pay more in corporate taxes, 28%. And the proposal, take a look here at the screenshot, guys, would put $621 billion into transportation infrastructure such as bridges, roads, public transit, ports, airports, electric vehicle development, which is why we saw such a big move in the EV stocks today. We'll talk about that here in a second. It's also going to direct $400 billion to care for elderly and disabled Americans, inject more than $300 billion into improving drinking water infrastructure, expanding broadband access, and upgrading electric grids, put more than $300 billion into building and retrofitting affordable housing, along with constructing and upgrading schools, investing $580 billion in American manufacturing, research and development, and job training efforts. And we're not going to dive into the nitty-gritty, but that overall is a brief little rundown of what we're looking at. And again, this is over 8 years. It's not like it's all going to dump right now. It's going to take about 8 years, this plan, at least how it's outlined right now, guys. So let me know all your thoughts on that down below in the comments. I don't have too much to say about this right now. I mean, the market seems like it likes it, so I'm cool with that. And again, I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Feel free to smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And let's talk quickly about stocks I'm in right now, which a lot of my stocks, since most of them are in the EV sector, at least in my swing portfolio, right? A lot of them did well today. Tesla is my biggest swing right now, went up 5% today. I'm loving it, guys. It broke above 630, filled the gap all the way to 665, 670, and that is where we're trading right now. And I believe if this level breaks, watch out for it, guys. I believe the tides are slowly going to turn, because as of now, we're still in a downtrend. We could very well dump off and be right at the low 600s again. That could still happen. But I believe this point right here, 670, we break that. We fill the gap to 700. And if 700 breaks right by this 180 moving average, that is where the tides are slowly going to be turning, at least on a technical basis. And the bulls are going to gain a lot more momentum. We could go to 750 at that point. That's a 7% move. That could happen in a day, guys. In a day, that could happen. Not saying it will, but I'm just saying Tesla is a stock that could move 6% in a day easily, especially if it just caught fire. That could easily happen. I mean, you guys saw it today. It went up 5%. It could do that again. So I think that's where the tides would turn for Tesla. I've been buying it on the way down. I'm still holding on to my position, and I'm not looking to sell until we get mid 700s to about $800. That's my target sell range right now for this particular stock. I'm also still in Chargepoint, which, guys, we bought the dang dip on Chargepoint. I believe I bought it at $20, $21. Was that last week, a week before? You guys on Patreon know that. I forget exactly when it was, but I bought a little bit more, actually a lot more. It was a bigger position because I've been buying on the way down. So I went even heavier at $20, $21. And today we went up almost 20%, up over $4. We broke out of the 50 moving average here on the 4-hour chart. We broke out of the resistance, this descending triangle resistance. That is awesome. And we pretty much filled the entire gap up to the 180 moving average here on the 4-hour chart at about $28, $29. And at this point, honestly, I would not rush into Chargepoint. I think there's potential we see a bit of a sell-off, maybe to the mid-20s, $25, $24 even. Get that RSI down a bit because it is very overbought on the 4-hour chart here. So I'd look for a pullback, and if it pulls back, that would be a nice entry point. And overall, the tides are going to turn on Chargepoint if it's able to break 30, 28, 29, $30, get out of this 180 moving average. That is where I think we could end up breaking out even further on the stock. And listen, guys, we know Joe Biden, this infrastructure bill is going to be good for EVs. We already know his administration is very good for EVs because he supports the green companies and going green and so forth, right? So Tesla's going to do well. Chargepoint's going to do well. No guarantees, but this is what I think, and a lot of you all probably will agree, right? So Chargepoint, Tesla, NIO, I'm still in that one. NIO, NIO did well today, up 4%. This is one that I think if it breaks $40, we're going to fill the gap to about 45, 47. TTCF had a good day today, up 3.2%, holding on to this long and strong. And silver, SLV, had a good day today, up 2%. This is kind of my hedge position. I mean, look, guys, this is something that, yeah, obviously I want to make money on, but I'm cool with holding on to it for a couple of months and just letting it ride out because I feel like overall silver is going to rally, gold's going to rally, and I think this could easily get back to $26, $28, $30 per share. That is where I think over time, over the next couple of months, that is where it's going. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. What are you guys up to? Stocks you're buying, selling, you're locking profits? Let me know down below. And don't forget, check out my Patreon if you guys want real-time buy and sell alerts, call-outs, morning update videos, more access to me throughout the day. That is on Patreon, linked right down below. Okay, so let's bang out some stocks here that I'm watching. Number one is Shopify, SHOP. This one went up almost 6% today. We filled the gap beautifully from 1,050 roughly to about 1,100. That is very, very good. And notice we closed right under the 50 SMA and at about $1,100, which has been resistance for a while here on Shopify. So I'm not jumping the gun quite yet, but the second Shopify could break, let's say about 11.15, 11.25, it breaks this point, we break 11.75, I think Shopify could end up gapping all the way up to the 1200s, mid 1200s. I believe that is where we're going. So I like Shopify, but again, we're not out of the woods yet, but we could fill that gap quickly. So be mindful of that. In fact, I'm going to set an alert. Let's put it at 11:25. That's probably going to alert me tomorrow. Maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see. So Shopify is number one. Disney is another one that I actually bought more of in my long-term account recently. Ended up adding a little bit more at $180 per share. That was actually an average up because my average cost is $150 in that account. And I averaged up a little bit, but I'm okay because look at the overall trend we're seeing on Disney. We're holding this uptrend beautifully, and right now we happen to be at the support of the uptrend or the uptrending channel, whatever you want to call it. The RSI is pretty oversold. Disney is down $20 per share. It's down about 10% from its all-time high. So this is a point where even as a swing trade, I would consider nibbling a little bit of Disney. And as always, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't buy because I just said that. You must do your own research. You must understand what you're doing. As always, that's just my opinion, and I'm just here sharing with you all what I've been doing. Again, I bought some at 180 and nibbled some more, and if it breaks, let's say 185, well, we're pretty much there now. If we break 187, 190, so I'm going to put an alert at 190, that is where I'd probably get in as a swing trade, you know, on that upwards momentum, upwards confirmation, and at that point, we could see 200s, 205. So just be patient with it, guys. Be patient. I'm pretty hopeful overall with Disney, ticker symbol DIS, and DraftKings, DKNG, is another one. It's down about $12 from its all-time high, more like $13. That's about a 16-17% drop. And today it didn't do that well compared to some other stocks, but it did have a green day, went up 0.5%. And based on the price action these past 2 days, it seems like this could be a temporary bottom. You can see here yesterday we held 59.60. We rallied above it, closed above 60, and today we also closed above 60. We hit a higher high in the little 2-day uptrend that you guys can see here. So that's a good sign. And pulling back to that 4-hour chart, notice how that is consolidation right at a higher low on the overall chart. That's a very good sign. The uptrend's continuing, but we still have two big resistance points ahead of us. $65, that was an all-time high back in October. Also in the middle, actually more towards the beginning of February. And the 180 SMA is right there at about $64, $65, also as a resistance. So I think if that could break, we'll see a nice move back into the 70s or at least the high 60s for DraftKings. So let me set an alert. I'll put it a little bit under 65. Let me put it maybe at about 63.50. We can see if it breaks that point tomorrow, maybe some point next week. We'll see, because on Friday the market is closed. For all of you guys that did not know that, it is Good Friday, the Easter holiday. The market is closed. I am also keeping an eye here on Upwork, UPWK. We see a head and shoulder on this 4-hour chart, and we also see a descending triangle within the head and shoulder, and we're slowly breaking out of the resistance of the descending triangle. You guys can see we broke the trend here, but we're also still under the 50 and the 180 moving averages, and we're still under the neckline here of the head and shoulder, so we're not anywhere near out of the woods yet. But I believe if Upwork could break the neckline at about $45, $46, the 50 moving average and the 180 moving average at about $48, that is where we're going to see a turn of a change of events, or the tide turning. What have I been using that analogy? That is what I think we're going to see, and we might be able to break 50, go to 55 at that point on that shift of momentum. So watch out for it, but again, we're not there yet, so don't jump the gun, but I have a feeling we're getting there. So we have to be patient with Upwork. Micron is another one which we called out this morning on Patreon. Shout out to everybody that was able to get into that. It went up 2% at the close. It went up even more after hours because they reported earnings, and the earnings came out pretty nicely. They reported 98 cents of EPS versus 95 cents estimated, and revenue came in at $6.24 billion versus $6.21 billion estimated. So they beat EPS, they beat revenue, and they guided up for revenue, which is a very good sign. So it looks like that inverse head and shoulder we called out is playing out. You guys can see it here on the hourly chart. Left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. We broke out of $88. We filled the gap to $91. Now, I think there could still be more upside, although we are a little bit overbought in the short term. Maybe we pull back to $88, but overall, if we break 91 whenever we do, there's another gap to fill to about 95. That's about a 5% window. So I'm watching out for that on Micron. And we also saw a nice day today for Netflix, ticker symbol NFLX, up 1.6%. And overall, you guys can see on this yearly chart, and I've mentioned this before, the ascending triangle on Netflix. We have a big resistance at 560. We're uptrending slowly into that. And today's pop-up gives me further confirmation that the uptrend is continuing, although we are in a bit of a funky spot considering we failed at 530, 540 multiple times over the past couple of weeks. On top of that, we are seeing a head and shoulder forming that's a little bit worrisome. Take a look at that. Left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. And we are struggling right now at the neckline of this head and shoulder at about 530. So for me, guys, and again, I think there's upside, but in the very short term, we must break 530. We must break the neckline. And we also, in my opinion, we must break 540. At that point, we're going to see a change of tide in this particular stock, and I think we could end up getting maybe to 565 to get all the way up to that resistance point that we've been struggling at for the past year at this point, for the past year. So Netflix, I like it. Watch out for that, smaller time frame, the 20-day hour, 1 hour chart. That is very important here. And the last one is Square, ticker symbol SQ. This is one that went up 7% today, and it filled the entire gap. And we've talked about this before. We were uptrending, making higher lows, but we were also making lower highs, squeezing us in this wedge, and we just just squeezed out of the 50 moving average today, but we're still under the resistance of the wedge and the 180 moving average resistance, which both of these must break. They must break. And I'm not pulling the trigger on Square until this level breaks. And from there, guys, I believe Square could see a short-term move, probably to about 250, 255, giving it about 8 to 10% upside. So watch out for Square. I like it. It's looking good, but we're not out of the woods yet, so I'm not rushing into it. And if anything, we might squeeze down a little bit more, fall down a little bit more before we break out. So that's it for today, guys. My top stocks, what I'm doing, thoughts on the infrastructure bill, a rundown of what that's looking like, and of course the overall market update, the thoughts I had on that. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that juicy old like button, subscribe to the channel as well, and don't forget to also get 2 stocks from WeBull and $30 from M1 Finance. Both of those are linked down below. Deposit $100 into WeBull, you get 2 stocks valued up to $1,800 right now. And you can get $30 again from M1. And you could also check out my Patreon for real-time buy and sell alerts, call outs, more insights on what I'm doing throughout the day, access to me throughout the day. Patreon is linked right down below. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching as always. Oh, and by the way, that next video is that video from before. You guys should definitely go watch that. It's definitely worth watching. Go check it out. Link down below. I'll see you guys there. Thanks again for watching. As always, peace out.